There's a wall that's in my way. There's a mountain I can't climb. There's a voice that's deep inside saying I can't do this. No, I can't do this. But you come tell me, have faith in what you can't see. When I'm too focused on the things that try to break me, and you come sweetly, and I'm so hardened. Oh God, would you come break me, bring life back to these eyes. There's an ocean raging wide. There's a haze that's blocking my sight. There's a fear that's growing in my mind. It's saying I can't do this. No, I can't do this. But you come tell me, have faith in what you can't see. When I'm too focused on the things that try to break me, and you come sweetly, and I'm so hardened. Oh God, will you come break me, bring life back to these eyes. There's a love that's opening my eyes. There's a peace that's casting out my fears. There's a joy I cannot hide. When you tell me I can't do this, you tell me I can't do this. 'Cause you come tell me, have faith in what you can't see. When I'm too focused on the things that try to break me, and you come sweetly, and I'm so humbled. Oh God, you love me, you bring life back to these eyes. 'Cause you come tell me, have faith in what you can't see. When I'm too focused on the things that try to break me, and you come sweetly, and I'm so humbled. Oh God, you love me, you bring life back to these eyes, to these eyes.
So we can hear. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Kinda. These hold on, actually.
Want me to use those?
We've been having headphone difficulties all week. Now I can hear me.
I can hear you.
And I can hear you. Perfect. Perfect. Good morning, everybody. If you haven't read the title, I'm here with my mama today.
Hi, everybody.
This is Vanita Duval. She is half the people that made me. If you appreciate Chaz, you gotta appreciate Vanita, because
Thank you.
I am a product of. Okay, so first of all, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you giving me your time in the morning. And she's nervous, guys, so any comments of encouragement are welcomed. I wanted to bring you in today, though, not only because you're my mom, but because people think I do a lot in the community. But I pale in comparison to what you've been up to for the last, how many years has it been? 10?
More than 10.
Yeah. So starting off, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? I have you listed as a community advocate, but you do that in several different ways. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I try to be the voice for those that can't speak, primarily because back around 2000, 2001, I was actually in a situation in crisis where I was not able to stand up or fend for myself or even have my own voice.
Right.
So with that lived experience, I realized the importance of helping those that really don't know how to reach out and help themselves, and to try to encourage and support them to help themselves.
Right.
The thing about being a peer, I learned, is that I don't do it for them. I encourage them to do it for themselves.
Right.
So started small on a little council at Mental Health called the Consumer Advisory Council. It meets twice a month, first and third Thursdays from 10:30 to 12. People are welcome. It's open to the public, actually. And it kind of just got me out of the house and into the public, and it was a good stepping stone for me to start understanding that there is purpose.
Right.
We have purpose.
Right.
And
helping others help
because that's
yourself.
what the consumer advisory is all about. It meets with the head honchos, like the director, or if he can't be available that day, he sends his administrative, assistant or something. And we have the public, the patient's right advocate. We have someone from the children's services. We have different staff that come and are involved, but we also have consumers. And it's our way to hear what's needed and gather together and get something pushed through, or a resource connected. It's a good way to get support to help others.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Kind of like outreach and allow the people who are actually being affected by certain changes to voice their opinion. And
there's a lot of stigma and prejudice with having mental illness, and a lot of people are actually afraid to admit that they have mental illness. So we're there to support and guide them and to lessen that fear, and we're trying to stop the stigma. We reach out to the Capitol, where there's functions that we're in NAMI. I'm involved with NAMI.
And NAMI is
National Alliance on Mental
Illness.
Yes. So, I mean, being afraid to admit that you are something, like, I'm not afraid to admit that I have asthma, but I was afraid to admit that I had mental illness.
Right.
And that is the stigma that binds you, that you can't seek out and get help.
Right.
So that's what it's all about, is to advocate and teach others
how to
reach out first of all.
Right. I I just interviewed this organization, Fathers and Families, not too long ago, and that was one of the things that they have, is counselors and therapy for people that, and trauma recovery
Right.
for people who, just the conversation I had with them was how a lot of people in our community actually have PTSD because of some of the stuff that goes down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And exactly, there's such a stigma with going to a therapist. It's seen as a uppity thing to do,
Right.
or a weak thing to do.
Right.
When no, that I'm sorry, we all, back in the days of villages, it was called like the elder, but you need somebody to exactly help you,
To guide you.
guide you. There you go.
And speaking of fathers and families, I attend a Reinvent Stockton meeting. It's like the last Friday of the month, and it's in the Magnolia District at the Presbyterian Church right there in El Dorado.
The one that used to have all the punk shows.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, we gather monthly, and Fathers and Families always has someone there supporting. And that Reinvent Stockton that they're having there is all about gathering and finding out what the issues are and trying to overcome different situations that are in the community.
Right.
So all the people that are getting involved in building this community, 2 thumbs up. Especially the
You're
Taps,
one of those people.
Especially Taps Plastic
yes,
across the way, because
yes.
they let me park for free for an hour. I was running late. I'm always punctual, but today I was actually running late. I run inside. I'm like, I have to go be on the air in a minute. Can you please let me park? He's like, yes. I was like, you're on the air.
Yes, Taps Plastic. Shout out not only for being dope enough to help my mama out, but they also donate heavily to the Magic Wheelchair Foundation, which, if you guys have been following this show, I had Corey Hunt on here, who is a creator for them. They build really awesome functional wheelchair costumes for kids. So Taps Plastic, for all your plastic needs, or even if you just want to go in and say high five, you guys are doing a great job, please check them out.
I was
and donate to KXVS while we're on a disclaimer break. No. So you're on you're involved with behavioral health, NAMI.
I'm on the council, the Community Advisory Council out at the health plan of San Joaquin. I've been a member for years, and I'm also been on the committee for years. And it's just whenever we have flyers or something, we try to figure out what colors and whatever. But the big part for me is if I'm going to the doctor or if I'm calling customer service, I'm just calling as a member, and I bring that information back, how I was treated.
Right. Right.
So, and the customer service there is actually very nice, but there's been issues where I've had to present to them, and it's a good way to help them fix the glitches in the system. Just speaking up for myself, it helps those that
that wouldn't
be able to even know that it's wrong to be treated that way.
Right. Right.
But I'm also on the I go to public health, and I'm on the committee there. It's called STOP, Smoking and Tobacco Outreach Prevention Program. And I actually started attending that one while I was still smoking. But I learned a lot, and we're active. We were trying to get the liquor stores to not post the cigarettes and the liquor where children can see. Where the children can see. There's different things that we've been active in. Now we're active. We're doing something with Tracy schools to get the liquor stores away from the schools. So.
Yeah.
But there's different things that I'm active in, and that it's needed in the community. I mean, nobody can do it alone.
Right.
And as a volunteer, no, I don't get paid, but yeah, I'm rich in doing that work. I've been so blessed, and the reward is more fruitful than even donating money. I think time is money, and I know that a lot of programs wouldn't be able to function without the volunteers, especially like this place too. Right?
Yeah, it's easier to give money than time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though time is money, money is easier to give away,
Right.
and easier to acquire. So yeah, shout out to all the volunteers out there.
Make the world go round.
Right. Real quick, I did want to say Paulus says, you'll do great. The conversations I've had with you inspire good things.
Hi, Paul.
She waved. I think the camera might have been on me, but
Hi, Paul.
there we go.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of that, Paulus is a lot of my personal friends and people that I deal with have already met my mom because she's awesome at supporting her daughter. She comes to many of my events. She reposts my stuff, and I realize, I don't know if you realize, but I realize not everybody has that. I know several people who can't get their parents to look at them twice, type of thing. You know what I mean? So I greatly appreciate that. And
thank you. I love you.
I love you too. And thank you, Paul, and everybody that is that loves my mama as well. But
I love you and yours. That's what I always say.
right. My little outro that I say, peace, love, and light, I got from this lady. I stomped it.
That works for me.
Is there what else? What else you had? You do more than I even know about.
I was at the original Continuum of Care workshop that they had out here last year, and that is the Homelessness Task Force is what it's called. They meet once a month. I think it's like the third Thursday downtown at the what's that building over by the warehouse, kind of the two tall buildings where the family and referral place was. I can't remember what the name of it is. Over by the waterfront, kind of. There's the office building over there. Well, the Homelessness Task Force called out to get the Continuum of Care program, because it's what was going on with the Homelessness Task Force. They realized that this company or entity didn't even know what this company was doing, and the Continuum of Care is actually trying to bridge the gaps between all the members in this community,
right,
so we can all work towards the same goal. We're all working towards the same goal, but if we're not communicating,
then that's not going to be
there's nothing really prospering.
Right.
But the Continuum of Care is the program that they brought in to follow and use it as the guidelines to make this homelessness crisis here that we have in Stockton.
Now
it's a goal to fix that.
I recorded it yesterday. It won't actually be out till Monday, but I recorded an episode about the propositions that are on this upcoming ballot.
I seen something about that on Facebook this morning.
Yeah, well, excuse the post from yesterday. I was going to do it yesterday because I had a brain fart and forgot I had a guest. I thought I brain farted enough to think that I had messed up more than I did. I just assumed I wasn't on top of it when actually I was. But I know one of the propositions, I think it was Proposition 1, was in regards to borrowing like $4 billion to help with affordable housing and helping pay off like debts of homeowners. But
I'm not really into the legislative part, so you're going to be teaching me something new.
yeah, I was just gonna say, but I can tell by your facial expressions that
That's not my, that's not my purpose.
Right.
I'm learning how to like write the senator. I went to a workshop at Delta College through NAMI to help pass
write
know,
grant writing.
And the one that I was really working on was the SB 906. If you want to start talking SB numbers, it was for the family / peer support specialist to be recognized as a certified specialist here in California, because it's recognized and you can get paid for that work in other states. But California's governor just vetoed that one.
California's like, nah, do it for the love. They always telling us to do it for the love out here, while our taxes is high as heck. I can't pay my taxes with love, y'all. Okay, well, there was 2 that pertain to what you do, kind of, and I will mention in this episode that will be airing on Monday that has not aired yet. I will mention from the past in the future that I am not suggesting anybody vote either way on these things.
Right.
I'm just trying to give the information of what's going on. And I should let me be a real professional and actually fact check myself before talking.
And that's the thing about when it's time to vote for something, like the commercial. I don't even want to bring up which proposition it was, but there's one about homes, and the yes on it makes it seem, yay, yeah, great. And then the no on it makes it seem like, yay, hey, great.
Well, I mean, that's because there are 2 sides to every story,
right.
And there's different vantage points. Almost all of our issues as a society
has pros and cons.
Well, yeah, it's because it depends on where you're standing, how you see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, right now, I'm like, okay, this thing is white, but for you, it's black. The
right.
camera.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's perspective.
And we're not wrong.
Right. It's our own perspective on the.
And of course, I can't find. Hold on.
But
y'all.
I was thinking that we need to get probably some kind of like group gathering where we can all go learn the propositions together and be kind of guided through. Because reading those things.
Tune in on Monday.
I guess I'll have to, because it's kind of discouraging, all the reading that you have to do just to try to figure out
and yeah, and of course I can't find the website I referred to, so we'll just.
But as far as the homelessness programs that are here in Stockton, that I was working with Casey Rain, and she writes proposals, and she's contracted through BHS. And for the past few years, we were doing focus groups and trying to figure out what's needed in the community as far as the homelessness situation. And she wrote up the proposal, and we won $17 million. We were awarded $17 million, and $6 million is for progressive housing. And then the $11 million was for assessment and respite center. And actually, the Waterloo Clinic community medical center, which we call Channel downtown.
Oh yeah.
They have many clinics around, and they collaborate with BHS Mental Health, because there is the stigma. So they do have actually psychiatrists at community medical, but now they actually have a detox center, which is temporarily out at the Waterloo Clinic, and they're actually having an open house this October. I didn't quite find out the actual day, but a detox center. It's going to be opening up in January downtown, and the thing is, the problem used to be that when you have a drug addiction and a mental illness, when you're off your drugs and start experiencing more mental illness, the drug rehabs don't really know how to handle the mental illness part, so you just kind of get kicked out the system and you get lost.
Right.
So this assessment and respite center is a combination of both, so people don't just get lost out in the street. And that's
Okay.
bridging the gap.
I'm going to touch on that's Proposition 2.
Okay.
Proposition 1, the $4 billion bond, is for, yeah, I just, for construction and construction, affordable housing construction, and rental and home loan subsidies, um, which in and of itself sounds great. And then the mental health money for housing gives the state permission to borrow $2 billion to fund supportive housing, affordable housing with on-site social and medical services for those suffering with mental illness. But the debt would be repaid with money previously set aside for the county-run mental health services. So,
And that's Proposition 2?
Prop 2.
But it's a loan?
Yes, they want to borrow money to create the supportive housing, like you're talking, those type of housings that can do both.
Right.
But they want to take the money from mental health services,
Right.
instead of, and because on Monday you'll hear about the pros and cons. I go into both the arguments for and the arguments against every proposition. But in regards to that one, the only real negative argument is it doesn't make sense to take money from, like, you know what I mean?
Take out their basket.
Yeah. It's like you take it out and like, here, I'll put it over here.
But what about me?
That's better, right? Well, no, I'm saying you're taking it out of one basket and putting it in the same basket, just in a different
But now
spot.
you owe a loan for it.
Exactly.
Now there's interest on the...
And that's the thing with the Prop 1, with us borrowing $4 billion, is that'll give us like something $170 million a year for the next 35 years just in interest that we're paying back, and I'm going through that with my car right now. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there is money out there. And me and my friend had went up to Sacramento and was attending a NOFA. And I can't remember what the N and O stand for, but the F and the A is funding available. And there's a lot of money out there. You just have to understand how to ask for it. And the thing about the city of Stockton is that I don't even really want to say, but the city always was against the county. How can we live in this city, which is in the county?
Notices of funding availability.
Notices of funding available. Yeah. Availability.
I just typed in NOFA at first. It was like National Organic Farmers Association. I'm like, I'm feeling
that
that's not it.
sounds kind of like Stockton, but
Yeah.
no, but there's a lot of money out there. We just have to learn how to bring it in.
And that's, again, tune in Monday. I'll be here in the future from the past.
Well, part of the progressive housing is to establish, because BHS doesn't want to own the houses. They're actually going to lease them from owners, and they're having there's shared housing where you can there'll be a manager on site to watch over. You have 3 or 4 people living in one home. I mean, Civic used to do it. Central Valley Low Income Housing still does it, but there's other requirements that's needed to be able to obtain that help. But with the progressive housing, it is through BHS, and you have to have a case manager. But with those houses, they don't want to own them. And I was thinking, with this NOFA, if we could figure out how to purchase these houses and fix them up and get them available for this progressive housing program.
Well, what I was going to mention is one of the arguments against a lot of these propositions as well was they've already borrowed money before and still haven't spent all the money they borrowed the last time, or it wasn't allocated properly.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then they lose funding because they didn't spend it. They have to give it back, actually.
Right. So, yeah. I've talked about a couple times the significance of ownership. So, but I also think that you're not going to be able to do that through a nonprofit organization in that way. You know what I mean? That's where what is it? Philanthropic.
Philanthropic.
Yeah, philanthropic. Tomato. No, endeavors.
Potato.
I think, yeah. And I agree, there is money out there, but I think, personally, I'm like, let's start hitting up Elon Musk, because the government, they've been messing up. No. This dude got billions of dollars, and he obviously don't care, because he's just talking smack to the SEC and stuff, like, through Twitter. I'm like, man, it must be nice to have so many billions that you could just talk smack publicly to the government that's paying you.
Must be
Goals, the American dream. And I'm being facetious if you guys can't tell. So, disclaimer, this is my own personal opinion.
This does
not
not reflect the
affiliated
views of the
with
radio
the voice
station.
of Stockton on KXVS radio.
We shall not talk about politics or religion. No.
Oh, I'll talk about them, but I'm going to talk about all of them equally. No.
And that's the best way. Just equally level playing field, you know.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's different vantage points. That's really the only thing.
I wanted to go back to some resources that I wanted to share. A lot of people know about this, but a lot of people don't actually. And it's a resource number that you can call, and it's just 211. I don't know if
2111, the 2111.
something like, and you just dial 211 and you get into the directory, and and there's a lot of resources that you can choose from, and you'd be
Like
surprised.
what?
Oh, now I gotta get my glasses on. Government. Oh, now I've dropped them. So yeah, here. But thank you. 211. All you got to do is call 211, and then you
Community services. You got 311 for government services. 411, we all know that is directory assistance. 511, traffic and transit. 611, AT&T repair service. That's very specific. 711 for hearing impaired. 811, underground utility lines. And of course, 911 is emergency services. Yeah, I remember 411. But I
never heard of 211.
I might have heard of it, but I've never implemented it. Health services, disaster response, food and shelter, housing resources, child care, income support, mortgage assistance, renters' rights, mental health. Okay, so that's where one of them situations where it's like, okay,
where do I go?
This
from
isn't,
here?
yeah, I can't call 911, but I definitely need assistance.
Yes.
I remember my cat ran up a tree. And I called 911. I was like, do firemen still get cats out of trees? They was like, nah, bruh.
Aww. Right. No help? No help for the kitties?
We got a hose and
and a ladder?
Not even a ladder. We just shot the hose up into the tree, and eventually cat came down.
Cat came back the very next day.
Yeah. Shout out the cartoon series Oh Canada. Throwing it way, way back. Most of y'all, I'm sure, don't even know about it.
One thing I do want to share is that BHS, they have a crisis hotline, but they also have something called the warm line. And if you need, and it's not
quite hot. You just
no, it's
warm.
not quite hot. You can talk to some is staff, but the majority of peers. If a staff answers the phone, they will get your number, and the peer will call you back. So it's more like a level playing field where you can. If you have something heavy on your mind that's not really a crisis, but it's kind of irritating you or bothering you, or you just need to talk. Mm. They have a warm line, and I want to tell it out. It's 209-468-3585, and it's been around for about 8 or so years, maybe more.
Give that one more time.
Yes.
Sorry.
209-468-3585. And it's 24 hours.
And what is that called?
It's called the Warm Line. And it's at Mental Health BHS. But it's a way to connect with somebody, especially if you're isolating really bad and you just kind of want to talk to somebody.
Right. to connect and talk when feeling isolated.
Or any time, it's not just for being isolated, but sometimes people's family don't really understand what having a mental illness is, so it's hard to interact with those closest to you, you know.
Right.
So they developed a warm line to help those that just need a little conversation or push or guidance, or so I just wanted to give a shout out
Just
for
a
the
little
warm
help.
line. Yeah.
Just a little bit of help.
Kathy Hanna, she works at BHS, and she's the director of the crisis department.
Mm.
So she comes to our meetings like every first Thursday. So she's really involved with the warm crisis line. So it's a good.
And that's free, y'all.
Yep,
There's a
it's
bunch of apps out there that want to charge you money for that same exact thing.
And it's here in the community.
Yes, got it for you. They've got it already.
And
for
on the
you.
October 10th, BHS is having a showcase from 3 to 6 p.m.
Mm.
It's open to the public. The showcase is actually for, excuse me, there's different organizations out in the community that's being funded by BHS, but BHS has never really been recognized for what they're doing out in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So the showcase is actually not just the services that are there on campus, but also the organizations out in the community will be there to kind of like show what the funding they're receiving is doing for our community.
Right.
So that's on the 10th at BHS.
And where is BHS?
1212 North California Street,
Okay.
right there on the corner of Harding. The Children's Services right there on the corner. That newer building is
Mm-hmm.
actually Children's Services.
Mm-hmm. 1212 North California. They got a new name, BHS.
Yeah, it's called Behavioral Health Services.
Yeah.
That's been in the works for a few years to try to change some of the language, actually, because it's the language that causes stigma.
Yeah, and some of their practices back in the day too.
Well, yeah, I'm a product of that.
So am I.
You know, but
that was kind of one flew over the cuckoo's nest-ish.
I've been there, done that.
What they
But the experience is, you know, I don't take nothing for granted, and I'm not even mad at any of the negative experiences that I went through. You know, it's all a learning lesson, and when you can turn that lesson into a blessing, that's when you
can grow.
gain your wisdom, and you grow, and you stay in your recovery. Because even after I was, you know, diagnosed and went through that whole situation, and then ended up doing drugs, being addicted, and self-medicating, and just mad at everything. And yeah, I had a lot of anger from my childhood that I never even figured out how to heal from. Yeah. And that just carried over into my relationship and into my children's life. And then, you know, it's like, how much can you carry?
Right.
And then you just, I just snapped. So, but the process, now that I look back, I'm very thankful actually for it, because I can relate.
You discovered yourself, basically.
Yeah, and I can relate to a lot of people. You know, I'm not proud that I was addicted to crack, but I totally understand what someone's going through. I'm not proud that I snapped.
Say that again for those in the back. I'm not proud of being addicted to crack. No.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to write a rap about that one. Smart Alec.
I'm sorry.
But you know, it's like all these things was because of the lack of self-love that I had. And in the last couple of years, I really have been learning the basis to overcome everything is genuine self-love. So look in that mirror and look into your eyes and tell yourself, I love you, out loud. I say my name, and I suggest you say your name too. Whatever your name is, fill in that blank and say, I love you. Like I say, I love you, Vanita, and I do it hundreds of times a day at first, until I start believing it, because your brain only knows what you tell it.
Right.
And the self-love is what will get you through. I used to think I needed that or him or her to fill me up. The holes and the voids that were inside were never filled. And so, I mean, if you can get that at an early age, self-love, you'll go far. You know?
Right. Two things. Hold on, let me write them down. I'm getting better at this, guys. I'm getting better at this. Self-medicating. I actually was just having a conversation about that with shout out Donovan Mishevsky, son of Gov Don here. He was writing a paper about decriminalizing drugs and like the pros and cons. And my thing is, even with the hard drugs that we don't want to decriminalize, and I'm not suggesting they become legal to do,
Right.
but we have to start looking at it differently and realizing that these people are doing this because they're self-medicating for a bigger problem.
Yeah. Deeply rooted reason.
So
And the criminal acts that they do just to support their habit, they're not really that kind of violent criminal. But
I completely believe certain drugs actually take your soul. You know what I mean? Like
and sometimes I believe that the drug doesn't make that person more of a bad person. Like, it just enhances that side of them that they're already capable of.
True, but I also think that virtually everybody's capable of any of that.
But we
You
all
know what
have
I mean?
good and bad in us, yeah.
Yeah, it's
We
all
have to learn
it's
to
all
balance it.
circumstance and what you've gone through. But in regards to self-love, that's one of the main things I can thank for Grandma Rev, her mother, my grandmother, who is passed now. This is why I have all the rings on. I got them from her. This too.
I would love to go through that jewelry box. I'm putting that on the air. Shout out to the jewelry box.
You never say. You're more than welcome. You can keep it at your house. I mean, it's not. I'm already wearing everything
That you pulled out the jewelry box.
But that was one of the main things that I got from her was self-love, and she was such a cheerleader for Ches that always instilled that in me.
At a very young age,
support
too.
your kids.
Yeah. She started being your little cheerleader when you was just a baby.
Yeah. I remember. I was there. No.
And when you mentioned that, some of the artists don't have a parent support, that kind of hurts my heart. But I understand if somebody is, I wasn't always a good supporter. Not in my addiction, definitely not.
Well, yeah, I know.
So
Crackheads don't support their kids, guys.
They support their habit.
She's come 180.
No,
she's
but,
come half circle from there.
And the thing is, about the people that can't support, what I have to do is go back and think, like, what happened in their childhood to make them,
oh, yeah. There's always
a reason.
You know what I mean?
Generational.
Actually, I was talking to Chef Tobias Cooks yesterday, and she went into how she was. I don't know. Are you comfortable sharing some of the experiences you had as a kid? Not in depth, but.
Yes, I'm so very comfortable.
Yeah, like you, she was molested as a child, and she was then raped at 16, and. The way she put it is she doesn't want to talk bad about those people or name names because she's making them victims.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they already are victims because you do that
Apparently
because you were you only do that when it's been done to you.
Right.
So I commend you guys because you're like that as well. I've never heard you really talk bad about that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I commend you guys for breaking that cycle. I was lucky enough to not have experienced that. So that's something that I can't fully relate to, but I know a lot of people have gone through it.
Right.
And the more people that can deal with it the way you have and the way she has, the more likely we can bring an end to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it is generational, because my mom had been molested, and I'm sure my grandma probably had been molested.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to break the chain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying that it was all me that did it, because I do believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can say that on here.
But yeah, you know, it was quite a struggle to keep it together,
Mm-hmm.
trying to raise you and your sister and brother, and support the family, being dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
But it had always been a goal not to get my children that lifestyle of
Right.
that kind of abuse.
Right.
But I was
I
adamant.
appreciate that.
I was adamant about teaching you kids early on about your bodies and who's not to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned it before. I don't know. I don't recommend nobody how. I don't want to tell nobody how to raise their own child. But as for me, I taught all my children right away what's not appropriate. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to let somebody touch you. So.
Right.
But I think the more people talk about things, and the more it comes out, more people can get comfortable. The less secrets will there be, because I was always keeping secrets.
Mm-hmm.
I kept secrets as a childhood.
Again, going back to stigma and feeling a sense of shame for.
And that goes with mental illness. You know, a lot of people have to keep it secret
Mm-hmm.
because how society views it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you talk about it, the more you can understand that we're more alike than you think.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I facilitate a NAMI connection support group the first and third Thursday, 5:30 to 7 at BHS, 1212 North California. I was just there last night. And I almost forgot what I was going to say. But the stigma, yeah, sharing, you know, that's what I was saying. Sharing is so important. If you could share your story and get that off your chest and not carry it inside is the only way you can heal. Because your body, if it gets a cut or scratch or any kind of thing physically,
Mm-hmm.
the body will naturally heal. But the mind it takes work.
Mm-hmm.
The mind is something that you actually have to work on.
Right.
And it's all about, for me, it was all about retraining my brain. Because your brain only knows what you tell it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
That's true. That's true.
But there's a lot out in the community that we can get involved in. I encourage everybody to get, out and do something.
Get out there.
Build this community.
Find yourself. Don't be afraid to delve into yourself. Abby James, Cameron King would be ecstatic to let y'all know that I meditated with him for the first time. Him and Ronnie last night. Shout out to Denise, Aunt Denise.
Hi,
watching.
Aunt Denise. Love you.
But yeah, I personally think the only way to change the world is to change your surroundings. The only way to change your surroundings is to change yourself.
That's right, because you can't change nobody but yourself.
Right. So starting there and then focusing on your immediate community is the best way to see direct results. And even though I'm bringing up these propositions that, have these effects, like...
I'm going to have to watch Monday because I want to learn.
But at the same time, like, you're there. Regardless of all of this politics, like, you're actually with the organization, and even if they're not delegating the funds, you're making sure stuff's getting done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why sit around and complain when you can just do it. Just do it! Do it!
At least see how it affects people.
Right.
And make a difference, yeah.
So, before we wrap up...
Oh, the favorite part.
horoscopes. Denise says, OMG, hey, I love you, and I'm so glad to see you, Vanita. Go ahead, Cesare.
Aw.
Oh, thank you. I need to bring you on here, Auntie. For real, you doing all kinds
Hi,
of stuff,
everybody.
too. Okay, so my mother is a Taurus.
It was so funny that one day I popped in, and you just said, my mother is a Taurus. I thought you was putting me on blast. Because I just barely peeked in.
Yeah, you put yourself on blast thinking I was putting you on blast.
So I just, like, woke up and I tuned in. I was like, one eye.
It's all right.
Sometimes I don't sleep well at night.
That's where I get it from. No. October 2018, Taurus. Even if you feel pressed for time, don't take any shortcuts in your work. If you cut corners, you will miss out on some nuances that the powers that be are looking for. This no shortcut rule applies to friendships too. Go the long way to get to your destination. Generous gifts or spoiling someone with luxury isn't the way to build your relationship. Rather, you need to be open with your emotions and share some everyday moments if you want to get closer.
Thank you. I am a giver.
Denise says she's so proud of our family. Denise, you're a Scorpio, right? I'm going to read Scorpio. I think you're a Scorpio. If not,
It's
I'm
either
sorry.
November 5th or 3rd. It's been too many years.
Both of those are Scorpio, right?
Yes.
So for my auntie, open yourself up to the idea that expression is necessary to get you to the next level of happiness. In other words, for a healthier life, you need to share your feelings, no matter what they are. Utilize your personality and express yourself in the best way you know how. Singing, dancing, cooking, or even just goofing around are all great ways to display how you're feeling. If you keep your emotions inside or mask them, then you'll be wasting your time. Ooh. That's like everybody in our family.
Pisces,
we're all
right?
very guarded. Yes, and now for me, actually, Paulus has been tuned in this whole time. I'm gonna go ahead and read Aquarius. Shout out Hair. They just had a musical here. They did a fundraiser for us, but I was stuck in Ohio. Dang plane. So for Paul, Aquarius, fun and games are perfectly okay, but they don't pay the rent, if you get the drift. Put away your party shoes and put on your work boots. You've got some major stuff to do. At first, you may dread the work, but as the day goes on, you'll get into a rhythm that will take you further than you thought you could go, and in half the time, take you further than you can go, and in half the time. Punctuation is awesome. So dive right in and get going. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll finish. Then you can get back to the games. Get games. Denise said, tell the truth. Her first birthday. And last but not least, for my fellow Pisceans, the time for research and planning is over. Get out there and do it. Didn't I just say that? There's no time left for stalling, and this wall you need to scale isn't as high as you think. Start climbing now. Nail down travel plans, and you may get a happy surprise that will free up some extra money in the budget. Consider an upgrade. Being more proactive right now will put you on a higher energy level and give you strong momentum for finishing up some things you've been putting off.
Hey.
That's hecka accurate. I'm traveling today, guys.
I don't know if you saw that.
You want me to mention this?
I think so.
Apollo night. Y'all can't see that. Apollo night. I didn't even know we still did Apollo night.
I know.
January 11th at the 2009 Bob Hope Theater.
But some auditions are coming up.
Yes, audition dates and times. Sunday, October 7th, 10:30 at the Cesar Chavez High Auditorium Theater. And that's way out by Walmart. And then also Sunday, October 21st, the Hamilton Hotel, Canal Boulevard. I don't see any mention of who's in charge of this for me to shout out. Hilton and somebody. But all acts must register for auditions through Apollo Night Hotline 209-910-2355. $5 per person registration fee. So if you want to get in on that, let them know. Holla at them. Denise says there is no medicine that has the healing power of truth.
The truth set you free.
Ain't that the truth? Well, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in with me this morning with my lovely mother, Vonita Duval.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in.
Community advocate, where I get my a lot of my stuff from.
We are works in progress while being a masterpiece.
That part. Thank you again. As always, this was Ches Day on Rise and Shine 209 with my guest Vonita Duval with KXVS, the voice of Stockton with the voice of Stockton on KXVS. Peace, love, and light to all y'all, and have a wonderful day. I'll put something on for you.
My heart seems to move one direction,